Welcome everyone to a casted game for Age of Empires 4, and today spawning in the south corner of the map playing in red, we've got Beastyqt playing as the Japanese. And his opponent in the north playing in blue, we've got Gigantosaurus playing as the Byzantines. Welcome everyone to Rocky River. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening of course, depending where you may be in the world. Got, well, two interesting players. Obviously you've got Beastyqt, we know him very well. Gigantosaurus, a relatively unknown entity. I was checking him out on Age of Empires 4 World, AoE 4 World, and you know what? He's hailing in from Saudi Arabia, would you believe? I don't think we've seen a pro player in Age of Empires 4 coming in from Saudi Arabia, which is kind of interesting. Obviously, the Esports World Cup at the moment in Saudi Arabia, so kind of interesting to find this out. And I wonder what Gigantosaurus is going to be able to achieve here. Going up against Beastie, arguably one of the best players in the world. He does have the Byzantines at his disposal though, so they could do some work here against the Japanese. Feels like this is a relatively hard matchup for the Japanese, considering the fact that, well, both civilizations do have a really good castle age timing. But the Byzantines typically do things just a little bit better, right? They gather out in the villages as, buffed up a little bit, with the water level already at, starting off 10%, which is not bad at all, and that will escalate as the water level does increase, coupled with extra production with Conscriptio. The Japanese are able to mine a bit of stone with the gold they get, and vice versa of course. And I'm kind of curious to see how this one will pan out. Obviously both civilizations could look for getting some feudal age aggression and transition to the castle age. Sometimes you do see the Japanese going for a second town centre, which could be a little bit dangerous going up against the Byzantines, right? Because it feels like if a player does go for a second town centre, it puts them behind in terms of map control and also relics in the mid to late game. Getting those can be really important, especially if you think about the Byzantines getting the Grand Winery potentially. That's exactly what's going to happen. Relics placed in this landmark will give olive oil, a secondary resource that, well, no other civilization can harvest or gather. And it's a great resource for the Byzantines. We'll be able to get the mercenaries nice and quickly as a supplement to their main army. In fact, to be fair, with the amount of olive oil you can get, sometimes it actually forms the basis of the main part of your army. Either way, the Japanese are going to be getting the Curio Storehouse, so free farms for that food economy. It does mean they're a little bit less reliant on getting into the mid-map for the deer camps and whatnot, and he can play a little bit more condensed. Now, this map typically has quite a lot of sheep, though BC doesn't seem to have pulled too many back home just yet. Not really a problem, of course, because he's got the Curio Storehouse. So I hope you guys have been enjoying the content on the channel recently. I've been, haven't been posting all that often, but I did kind of hopefully try and commit to one video every 3 days. I'll try my best to keep up with it. I think it's a reasonable kind of target. It's not too burdensome, and at the same time should be able to keep me up to date with Age of Empires 4 and keep in the practice of casting. Which actually, you know what, can be a bit tricky if you take a long gap. I've got to say, this base layout, not great for Beastie. Everything's far forward. Look at that, forward gold, forward berries, double gold forward, and it's kind of funny, right? Because we were reading the Reddit post recently about Vortex leaving Age of Empires 4 and how the map spawning and RNG can be really bad for you. And a lot of people saying you just have to adapt, but can be a bit tricky when you have to adapt to this situation with 2 gold forwards, the berries forward, and a wood line there as well. But it's a good spot for a tower, of course. The question is, will the Byzantines be able to put some pressure on early enough? Instead, he's going to go for an expansion on the economy, at least in terms of the water level. We're going to be able to increase the range of the cistern here. That's a lot of sheep now coming in for Gigantosaurus. Now, I would like to say, by the way, a very big thank you for everyone who's been supporting the channel, whether it be on Twitch or YouTube. Guys, absolute legends. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know I've been a bit AFK for a while. The last couple of weeks, I guess. I didn't really post all that much. But we are back now, of course, so happy to be back, of course, and hopefully we'll keep up with the content. I mean, half the trouble is actually finding the games to cast, right? It's not all that easy now, especially with a lot of players having left Age of Empires 4. We've lost Vortex, lost Lucifron, and yeah, outside of tournament, and to be fair, we've lost Demu for a while, it seems. And yeah, it can be a bit tricky, but I suspect that'll be short-lived. A lot of the players are playing Stormgate, but yeah, I suspect a lot of them will be back, I don't think necessarily Stormgate is doing all that great in terms of player numbers. I am pretty heavily invested myself, casting a lot of that on a separate channel. But yeah, I mean, kind of curious to see how that game develops and how much it will change Age of Empires for the scene, actually. I think I'm kind of more concerned about is probably Age of Mythology, right? Because that's looking to be a very popular game and a little bit more closer to Age of Empires 4, so the player base is a little bit more shared, if you will. You know, Blizzard style RTS is a bit different, and so the sharing of the player base is a little bit less, I would have thought. Age of Mythology, though, is going to bring a nostalgia for a lot of people, and I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen to the player numbers for Age of Empires 4 when that game comes out. Yeah, we'll see. Having said that, you know, Age of Empires 4, this engine is, well, it's a lot newer, right? I think Age of Mythology in many ways are using, if not mistaken, the same engine as Age of Empires 3, which is obviously a little bit outdated in a way. It still looks like a very decent game, though. We get the blacksmith for some upgrades. Barracks has been built, and the mercenary house too has actually gone for the Western mercenary contract, so we'll get longbows up nice and early. Quite a nice unit to have against the Japanese in many ways. As we started to farm here, Beastie, understandably so. Alright, relatively quiet opening actually. Here come the batch of longbows. Beastie is aware. Just got to be careful about this, right? The placement of the outpost does mean that actually the longbows shouldn't be able to get too much damage here. Can't get really too close. Might really come from this side potentially, the right side, but it's a long way to go around. So Beastie is opting for a castle age, by the way, behind all of this. He's going to be up on his way very soon. It's going to be down to the Byzantines to try and punish that if he can. But the great thing for Beastie is taking the majority of his berries, right? The exposed resource, he's taking it. I think it's kind of a little bit awkward for Beastie, though, is that this gold vein is forward, right? And so if that's actually attacked and pressurized, this could become a really big problem. He needs gold for the units in the castle age. Speaking of which, he's going to go for the floating gate. 8 villagers on that. Gigantosaurus committing to the feudal age quite relatively heavily. Go for the Nimitanae. As well as the mercenaries as well, of course. 14 military units he's pumping out. And he's spending everything he's getting. And Undermesh coming in for the Japanese. Going to be helpful against those longbows for sure. Of course, you didn't need to build a blacksmith. The forge is the drop-off point for goldstone and also acts as a blacksmith as well. Okay, he's going to get a Siphon. Going to look to break through, and yeah, it's going to really go for some feudal age damage. Question is whether Beastie can hold and protect himself. Does he have arrow slits? He does have arrow slits in the outpost, but thing is, there's a lot of units, right? And so, I mean, he might just torch us down with the Nimitanae and the Siphon. The Nimitanae can, of course, use their shield wall ability to get close, but this outpost might not survive too long. Sure, it's got arrow slits, but there's nothing really here in terms of challenging this Beastie, going for, well, no units. This is super risky. I don't know about this play here for Beastie. Not making a single unit. This could bite him in the butt. Because he's under pressure and he doesn't really have access to gold. How does he get gold now? And what does he prioritize spending the gold on? This is going to be a little bit dicey. Does he even have... Wait, does he even have a production building? He doesn't. He's got enough wood for it now, but... This is looking very awkward. Gigantosaurus. Taking down the house and... Well, that's wood that he will have to replace. He would have to replace the house with wood, and he doesn't really have much of it here, Beastie. He's now venturing out, getting the barracks, and so he should be able to get some samurai. But he will have to upgrade them, right? So he has to wait for that to come on through pretty quickly, as all things considered, and does have the Yorishiro placed inside. So we'll get, you know, faster production. 200%, not too shabby at all. So really only needs one production building, really. Villagers are going on the right side now. That's such a far way to go for that gold, but he doesn't really have any option, right? Gigantosaurus is keeping an eye on this gold on the west side, but yeah, there's no way he's going for that. Siphon. Villagers might try and torch the Siphon. It's going to try and get a surround to try and stop it from escaping. We can't get the surround. Gets a couple of torches on it though. Massive HP taken off that. Nice pick off in terms of or damage output really for Beastie's villagers. He hasn't lost a single one just yet, but that might change because there's a lot of army coming forward now. And there's 2 Siphons for the Byzantines. Beastie's houses are roasting. They're on fire. Again, this is actually wood that he just doesn't have. He doesn't have the capabilities to replace this. He is housed pretty badly, by the way. So look at 20 population supply, and so he can't actually make any units. He needs houses, he needs wood, and he doesn't have any safe wood at all. He's got this one for now. It's looking a bit dicey. Gigantosaurus hailing in from Saudi Arabia. It's working out well for him. He's got a good civilization. The map spawn has been pretty friendly for him. And if he loses the barracks, that's massive actually. He won't have any production capabilities. Beastie is struggling on wood. Massively struggling with resources. Was possibly a little bit greedy. Not making a single unit before getting to the next stage. And now is paying the price for just coming out to repair the barracks. He needs it alive, right? And the thing is, he might be okay with the Gigantosaurus because ultimately this is wood that's being drained into the repairs. Not a bad trade. I mean, it could have been better with the Gyro-Siphon, but all things considered. Now the problem are the samurai. Feels like Beastie may have just held on here. He needs to make sure the barracks isn't on flames anymore. Going for what I look and try and pick off that with the longbows, and he does exactly that. And 2 workers have been killed so far by Gigantosaurus. No relics for either player, but it looks like Beastie's trying to work on that. Behind all this, Gigantosaurus will be going to the Castle Age himself. Just a little bit short on gold, actually. Quite a lot short on gold. As it happens, the balance not quite right. Plenty of food coming on in. But not quite enough gold just yet. Longbow's going to back away. Going to try and kite these samurai as best as possible. A couple of horsemen added into the mix. Yeah, Gigantosaurus floating a lot of food. And Limitane going to tank against the samurai as best they possibly can. The question is, will Gigantosaurus spot the gold on the right side? Looks like he's heading there now. Yeah, he's going to spot it. This is not looking good. Because if he loses those villagers, it's a problem obviously losing villagers, but more importantly, he loses access to gold. He is starting to wall up though, so we'll have access to this gold once again. Needs to make sure he keeps hold of that for a long time. Here come the horsemen diving on the villagers, and he will lose a couple. I mean, I think he's probably going to lose everything here because, I mean, there's only so far I can run, right? And there's enough horsemen to do this. Golden Horn Tower is going to be built by the Byzantines with 18 villagers, so it's going to get there quick time. Now, I wonder whether Beastie's been struggling to keep up villager production. I think I don't know, he's just behind, right? Not looking good on that front. 36 villagers, he's just losing a couple as well. He's lost 6 in total, to be fair. That counts for most of it. Golden Horn Tower will be there soon. Now, he is really pumped out units. He's only on wood level 2, which you sometimes expect a little bit more than that at this stage of the game, at this timing, but he's done it purposefully, right? He's prioritized making units, and it's worked out well for him so far, so it's a good choice ultimately. Now is that Castle Age in for the Byzantines, and he should be able to get the upgrade to the Limitane and also the longbows, and that's going to put him in a really good spot. Speaking of spots, it looks like Beastie's trying to protect this spot. Palisades coming on up. Yeah, it looks like both players are going to macro it up for a little while. And by the way, thanks for all your support, guys, whether it be on Twitch or YouTube. Thank you so much. If I can ask for a bit of a favour, if you don't mind, just do give the video a thumbs up. It helps me out on the YouTube algorithm side of things, which I need to get on the good books for, by the way. Taking that big break from posting videos felt like it really hurt the channel in terms of impressions that I've been giving out. So hopefully, let's get a couple more videos out. Maybe YouTube will forgive me and put me back out there again. Now, Beastie does have one relic rather, garrison inside. 2 more on the way, and it's going to be important for his gold income, right? Whilst gold is forward and exposed, if you can at least get the gold trickle from the relics, you'll be in a good spot. But having lost 9 villagers so far, he's significantly behind in economy, especially when you couple in the fact that water level 3 is in now for the Byzantines. There's an extra 18% gather rate on those villagers that are influenced, and that is not a joke. That has a massive, massive eco boost. That's why the Byzantines are generally heralded as being a very strong civilization. Now 2 relics in the bag, another 2 coming on in. Looks like Gigantosaurus will get his first of the game. It's going primarily for samurai, and the question is whether the Byzantines are starting to add crossbows, because that could become a problem. He's actually adding in Varangian guards of his own. Does snipe one of the relic carrying Shinto priests, so he's going to have to try and grab that again later, I guess, Beastie. Damian Manor is in play, by the way. 42 military to 20. Don't forget, though, there's a lot of samurai. Now, if you can kite it, maybe tank with the Varangian guards and Limitane. Allows the longbows to do some damage. A couple of catch frags added into the mix as well. I like that touch, by the way, because it's already got stable. And if you're thinking about siege engines for the Beastie and the Japanese, the cataphracts can trample on through any sort of army that's protecting siege or front line, get on top of the siege and try and snipe it. It's a really nice mechanic for the Byzantines as it happens. He'll try and torch his way through on the west side. Through the west side. Here comes a Mangonel, which is going to be problematic against those longbows and Limitani. I've probably said Limitani in 3 different ways now. I kind of forget which way is the right way to say it. Mangonel does get a shot off, but doesn't really do too much damage. I think the cataphracts will trample through. He does trample on through right on top of the siege, I think. Can try and take it out, but a good shot there on the longbows at the back line. But it's only one shot. Village is coming out to repair for Beastie. He won't. I mean, he's going to keep it up. He's going to keep it alive. That's crazy. That's a lot of idle time, right? Gets a good shot on the longbows. He might survive here, Beastie, but at what cost? That's a lot of idle time. Ooh, repair's not coming out. It does now. He keeps it alive, which is pretty phenomenal. This one Mangonel might just save Beastie, but the trouble is, he is spending wood, and he's not gathering with those villagers. He is now. One cataphract remains. He's lost 2 of them already. Good shots with the Mangonel, so good hold here for Beastie. Will he lose it this time? No, he doesn't. He'll just come out to repair. Great save on the Mangonel for Beastie, I've got to say, overall. Fantastic play to have achieved that. Ringengar's going to go on through, but the military number's not looking as good as they once were for Gigantosaurus. But he has picked up 1 relic, picking up another. He does have the Sacred Site in play as well. Really having to retreat here, Gigantosaurus. There is a Bannerman already for Beastie as well. It's going to be increasing the amount of damage coming on through by 15%. Not too shabby at all. Gigantosaurus can look to take the other Sacred Site in the center as well. Now, possibly Sacred Site victory could be on the cards. He's killed 16 villagers so far, so I don't really feel like Beastie's going to be out on the map before too long. He's having a bit of a hard farming transition as well. Bear in mind, he's not be able to take any of the key resources of the map in terms of deer camps. And whilst he has had farms spawning, it does feel a bit rough that he's struggling so much on food. Only getting just under 300 food per minute. That is not enough to sustain a Castle Age army production. Floating a lot of gold, possibly a little bit paranoid about losing access to gold, right? So he is just making sure he mines it while he can, but ultimately he's got 3 relics, which certainly helps with that. It's probably a big part of the reason why he's got so much gold. He does commit to specialized pick here. That's Gigantosaurus, of course. Second relic in play, and the second Sacred Site is being captured by Gigantosaurus, and maybe he's going to go for a bit of a push again. He does have a lot of army, right? I mean, look at this. A lot of this are longbows. 7 longbows. And those are all kind of mercenary paid for, right? Beastie not quite happy if he does lose the 3rd Sacred Site, so keeps the Spearman there. Gigantosaurus will probably get it in the end. He's super defensive for Beastie. He's 20 villages behind, would you imagine? Like, I mean, he's lost 16, so he must have idled his town centre for 4 villages. Something like that. I mean, that's kind of unexpected. Gonna go for another 2 town centres. He really wants to pump out villages, which is a bit concerning, right? Because, like, there's a timing window here for Gigantosaurus, and that timing window is now. If he attacks now, Beastie will be in all sorts of trouble. Like, being able to maintain 3 town centre worth of production of villages, with how limited food he has and access, this is going to be rough. Because he has to make a choice, right? Does he make villages for the mid to long term solution, or does he keep making army and, well, he needs to try and make sure he doesn't die in the next 5 minutes. That's looking a bit ominous here though. 62 miniature for Gigantosaurus, and he's moving on ahead forward. Got a large olive grove transition, so plenty of mercenaries could pop out pretty soon as well, just to supplement that army. Gigantosaurus now moving forward. He's added in a couple of Landsknechte as well, so that's problematic for infantry-based armies. Samurai alike. The Landsknechte, of course, do some splash damage. Biggest problem, though, for Gigantosaurus is how does he push through all these Mangonels and even a Spring or 2. And try and take down the static defense first, I guess, and then work from there. I mean, he's going to try and dive this, and, well, Beastie is playing it well in the choke points. It's going to be hard to get on top of these. It doesn't have... He's got 2 cataphracts, so could potentially trample on through, but that's a lot of Mangonels. He's going to snipe out one of them potentially. Spearman on hand, though, to try and defend. He does lose 1 Mangonel. Possibly loses a second. He does, and this is not looking too great for Beastie. He might lose all the mangonels, which is huge. He loses yet another. But just come out to repair that one, though. Still exists. One more mangonel pops out, but these are expensive units to make. And a lot of them are going down. Farm's on fire. But maybe it's just held on. Maybe just about. Cataphracts are going. And I think he might lose that mangonel popped out on the right side, which is huge. Only down to one mangonel. So, yeah, great. Pushing on here for Gigantosaurus. Splitting up the army on the west side to attack the villages on wood lines. And, well, with the last Ganesha, that could be problematic. Trample comes in for the Cataphract. But he has garrison inside the two town centers. So those villages will be safe for now. Question is, what's the follow-up? Is it going to be pumping out more units? It's got to be, right? It looks like it so far. Makes a Chirosyphon. Could do with one or two more, and that will really do some significant damage. But it looks like Gigantosaurus backing away now, having done some damage. Quite comfortable, it seems. Quite happy with the damage that's been done, but up against three town centers, I imagine Gigantosaurus, despite how many villages he's killed, probably feeling, oh, you know what, I may have to push soon, or maybe expand my own economy. He's floating gold like anything. I'm just going to look to regroup here. Added in the Cataphracts as well. And Beastyqt doing what he knows best. Full siege mode, it seems, almost. Gigantosaurus just grouping up together, being patient, I guess. Villagers taking this berry bush, which is pretty big. That's a lot of berries, and that's a lot of olive oil that will be coming on through, actually. That's huge. Olive oil in this situation, not only is getting food to make units as standard, but with the mercenary contract, he's going to get more olive oil and get even more units that way. Getting a couple of horsemen here. No upgrades on them just yet. Expeditorius could be really nice for raiding, but he has to break through the walls first if he wants to do that. But yeah, Beastie's still struggling on food count. Look at that. Less than 500 food per minute. Just gone over 500 now. It's actually triple for the Byzantines. Don't forget, it's not just food he's making here out of this as well. It's olive grove. These olive groves are getting olive oil. Now, we haven't seen the Honor Begatia for a long time. Kind of surprised. Either way, Landsgash are going to build the Chirosyphon. Another two on the way. One coming behind the forces. With three Chirosyphons, that's going to burn through things very quickly, actually. This is looking a bit of a dangerous push for Gigantosaurus. I mean, he's playing this so well, right? And ultimately, he's going up against one of the best players in the world. And this chap, we don't know too much about him. Massive mangonel shots, though, on the cavalry. I don't think they're going to survive that much longer. It does back away for now. Just about manages to dodge on out. Gigantosaurus moving to the right side, it seems. The question is, when does Gigantosaurus push on through? Beastie trying to secure up that gold. Spearman going to attack a villager that's on the berries, but I mean, these villagers should get a wraparound, kill the spearman pretty quickly. There you go. But he is aware about the situation, right? So Beastie might send some units potentially. Biggest thing is he loses Chirosyphon, heavy damage on the others. There's no anti-siege really here for Gigantosaurus. Apart from the Cataphracts, only three of them though. He might trample on through. Palisade Wall is being rebuilt once again. It does have Varangian Guards. He's going to break through. Yeah, the villagers can't keep him out. Horsemen going to dive in, take out Springles potentially. In fact, looks like the cavalry going to go for the mangonels first. And understandably so, villagers coming out to repair. Will he keep it alive? He just couldn't do it. He might lose more of these villagers. They're AFK. What? They're not doing anything. And he does lose everything there in the end. Beastie taps out, just overrun there. Gigantosaurus with a victory, a massive victory, hailing in from Saudi Arabia. This is a player to watch. Holy moly. Hope you guys enjoyed this castle game. If you did, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Take care, and see you next time.